evening and welcome to Conversations with Entrepreneurs. I am your host, Alethea Brown, and I am joined by my co-host. We're going to start with Dion.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Dion Jones, a believer consult, and I love cupcakes.
Chanel.
I love that. I am Chanel Varner with Moonglade Travel, your luxury travel advisor, and I love cheesecake.
Ooh, Jeff.
Nice. Okay, I see what y'all doing. All right, I'm Jeff White. I'm with Jeff White Fitness Solutions, and I have a thing for chocolate. I love chocolate cupcakes with the white icing and the red, white, and blue sprinkles.
Oh, wow.
That's what I'm talking about.
He went in very good details with it. Everybody said cupcake or some other thing. Jeff went with all the colors and everything. And
don't forget the fitness part. Don't forget the fitness
right.
part. I had to put the fitness in there and then let you know I like cupcakes too.
To help us work it off because I still want to get a hold of those shooters. And so since we've been rambling about desserts, it's because of our guest tonight, Sharon Denny-Lovelace. How you doing tonight, Sharon?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
We are happy to have you here to help us celebrate Women's History Month. And so you are the Entrepreneur of the Week.
Thank you.
And so wanted to give you an opportunity to discuss your entrepreneur journey. I saw a post that you had on Facebook about your decision to decide to be an entrepreneur on a full-time basis. Would you like to start telling us something about that?
Sure. It was hard coming up to that point. I had been in healthcare operations, healthcare insurance operations for over 20 years. And the last place I worked, it was a small third-party administrator, very low staffing. And so we worked like crazy. From the time I walked through the door until the time I left, I was working nonstop. And then I would come home and start baking. So I'll be baking till the wee hours of the night, making buttercream, trying to pump out orders. And I said to myself, one day I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to do this full time. With the pandemic coming in, I noticed that the orders started to pick up because I guess people were home more often and they wanted to celebrate more often or just eat sweets more often. And I just had a discussion with my husband and I said, look, this job is going to kill me. The orders are picking up. I think this might be the good time to make the move. And he said, let's do it. See how it goes. So I set a date, turned in my notice, and they actually tried to keep me there for a couple months beyond my notice, helping to train someone. As I said, they were low staff, so it was just really hard for me to actually break away from the job. But finally on January 8th, I went into my manager's office and I said, this is my last day. I've stayed way beyond my last day that I was supposed to stay until. And that was it. And now I am at home full-time cupcaking around.
And you do a variety of type of cakes too. Would you like to talk about the different varieties and different events that you make cakes for?
Sure. I actually started out with the idea of making it a cupcake company, thus the name CupCaken Around. And the way I thought of the name was, I said, there needs to be a way to get cupcakes in Charlotte without having to leave your house. And I said, wouldn't it be nice if somebody could deliver cupcakes to my door or to anyone's door? And, but then people started asking me, well, that cupcake was delicious. Don't you make cakes? And the first cake order I had was for a wedding cake. And I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? But it went so well. And I started making more cakes, and I'm actually making more cakes than cupcakes now, but I still have the novel idea that it's going to be nice to have a cupcake delivered to your door. So I do a lot of dessert cakes for just, a if you're having dinner and you want to have a nice, delicious cake to eat, pound cake. But I also, this past weekend, did like a huge 3-tier wedding cake. So I'm able to do any kind of cake. And then I do dessert shooters. I do a lot of chocolate covered strawberries. I've even done themed parties for young kids, like candied apples and matching little novelty desserts. So I'm kind of trying to stay in the trend of things.
Yeah, I've seen so many different designs, creative designs that you've made with cakes. I mean, some of them are for adults and have the different type of, let's say, adult beverages kind of made in them.
That would be the correct terminology.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Like she's had like a lot of those different. I've gained at least 5 pounds every time I see most of her posts because I'm eating vicariously virtually from the post that she makes. The cakes look so delicious, and it looks like you reach people at like different times. The birthday cakes, how you personalize it with your designs as well. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about your specialties now that you've adapted them from cupcakes?
Well, I actually like to, when someone places an order with me, a lot of times they don't know what they want.
Yeah.
So I like to ask questions about the person who they're celebrating. Tell me about the person. One person was a writer. She was a life coach. So we incorporated a lot of about that person into the cake itself. One guy was a fraternity person, and they like to have spades games. So we incorporated his fraternity logo as well as a deck of cards and cut cards and stuff around the cake. So I just try to tailor it to the individual. Specialties are just, everybody seems to want cake right now. Cupcakes, I've done a lot of vending events, dessert markets. And so when I go to the dessert markets, I usually take cupcakes and cake slices, and they always sell out.
Oh, that is cool. So we'll start with you, Chanel. So Chanel, you got any questions you'd like to ask Sharon?
Wow. Well, welcome, Sharon. It's great to hear what you have going on. And I have several questions. I'm the question
Okay, thank you.
between me and you, but I'm going to start with one thing that, well, a couple things that stood out to me. I'm just kind of hearing about your process was, one, you have been given so much and so much and so much to this company and organization for what, 20 years, you said? Over 20 years?
Yeah.
That is remarkable. And think about if we put that same, well, even more energy and effort into our own businesses. We're helping somebody else's business
Exactly.
grow. So I think that's just dynamic that you had the courage and then the support from your husband to say, yes, honey, I know this is where your passion is, and it's picking up. It's growing, it's evolving, especially during a pandemic. So kudos to your husband for that support.
Thank
and
you.
to have that courage to, say enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to follow my passion, especially during this time. Another thing that came up that I really liked is that customization. Me in the travel industry, that's one thing that makes us stand apart. You can go to any type of website and book a hotel. You can go to any grocery store and buy a cake, but to have something that's customized and personalized for you and based on your needs, I think is really what helps us in the service and product industry stand apart. So kudos for that as well. But I'll kind of piggyback on what everyone else kind of adds into the conversation. But thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
Dion?
Well, Sharon, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations for your success and much, much more cupcake, cake, baking success. And thank you for making history too. This is, again, Alethea said, this is Women's History Month, and we are so glad to be able to celebrate our sisters and any other women, but thank you so much for our sisters when we celebrate you all. I knew, Chanel, when she was talking about customizing, I knew you were going to say something about that, because nobody cares what you know until they know that you care, and when you tailor make it to them and show something that you've researched or investigated about them, and on a good side, they really appreciate it. The thing that I was, it's very brave to start a business. This is not for the faint of heart. This is not. These are the times that try men's souls. If I was a good writer like Jeffrey White, I would have penned that already, but I'm not. So, but it's amazing it takes a lot of courage to start a business, period. And then in the climate that you said you started it in, after 20 plus years, that just locks people in. That just locks people in after 20 plus years. Then I wrote this down. They kept you over the time you were supposed to, when you did your resume. See that, thank you for being very, having a lot of couth and stuff like that. Cause see, that can make people act up, right?
Yeah.
But it's this part right here that was just, it drew me in when you said, I noticed what was happening. It's brave to start a business anytime, but people that are able to notice the trends, they have that touch and that feel that really it sets precedents, and it pioneers things, and it makes it the passion that you put out to do it. All that stuff just seems to me, chance favors the prepared and all that kind of stuff. And when you notice those trends and stuff like that, and you jump on and get on, and like Chanel said, and then you have the support, you have that support that is right there.
Right.
What an amazing job. This is the last thing I want to say before anybody else says anything. I learned this in school in the 5th grade. The word desert and desserts is different because you get 2 S's in the middle of them, Jeff, right? And so people love desserts because if you turn the word around, it's the word stressed, right? Right? I do the mental health. My mental health is off. It's quirky, right? People are stressed. So yes, I foresee a cupcake baking boom coming your way, Miss Denny. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jeff, I don't know how you're going to top that, but I'm going to give you the floor.
Oh, I'm not even gonna try to top that. That was classic Dion. But I want to just point out something that I really enjoyed about your story. You had a job. You didn't really care for your job, but you were doing something on the side that you enjoyed, and you were doing it and doing it and doing it, and then eventually you got to the point. It's like, you know what? I'm out of here. You see, you had the choice to leave. The problem with a lot of people these days, thanks to automation, laying off, all that, they are forced out the door, and they have no other options. You turned a passion into a profit, and that's something that a lot of people need to really pay attention to, because life is too short working at a job you don't like.
Right.
You have to have something you enjoy on the side also, because you never know when that is gonna take center stage. And I think that's something that's very important that people need to really think about. So even if you're working at a job right now and you may like your job, you don't know if in a week, a month, a year, that eventually you won't like that job anymore, or you won't even have a job. See, you had a golden parachute, literally, a tasty parachute, actually, that really helped you. And a lot of people need to start thinking along those lines, because you never know how your situation is going to end up. And another beautiful thing is you also capitalized on a situation. A lot of people would be panicking and struggling. And Dion said it perfectly. When people are stressed, they look for comfort foods.
Yes.
And here you are comforting people in their worst times, and it is literally putting money in your pocket at the same time. So what we have to do as people is be very aware and observant of our surroundings, and be ready to take advantage of the situation, because for some people this is a terrible time, but for you this was the best time. And as an entrepreneur, we have to really pay attention to that and know when it's our opportunity to make a move. So I want to commend you, and I think that was brilliant. And even if it wasn't on purpose, the fact that you had a passion, you were doing it, and you probably got better and better over the years, and then you had the customer service experience to just be able to talk to people like Chanel said, that is the key. And we talk about that a lot on this show, customer service. If you know how to talk to a customer, make them feel important, I can only imagine how many pictures they took of that cake when they saw it. It's fried, and the cards. I can only imagine how crazy they went when they saw that cake and all the pictures they took.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was, see, you got it. And even if or when this ends, people still going to eat their cupcakes.
Yeah.
So you did great. So I just want to commend you, and I just want people to really pay attention to your story, because that could be them one day.
Thank you. I appreciate that. One of the things I had mentioned to Alethea was I had gotten, it was an emotional experience for me to turn down orders. And I knew I could only handle so much when I was working full time. So when people would come to me and say, "Are you available to make a cake this Friday?" I'm like, or "Can you make a cake Wednesday? We have a celebration." And I knew that I was working. I knew that there was no way I would be able to get that cake out. It felt so bad to say no. And I just started to feel like I'm letting people down. And I don't want to let people down, because they are looking they're looking for me to, give them what they need.
Make them
And,
feel
and
good.
yeah. And just to say no felt so horrible. And I said, I got to make a choice. I have to fulfill my purpose, or I have to stay at this dead end job and work like a horse and it's never going anywhere. So I made a decision.
I am going to give the people a sneak peek
Uh-oh.
of the craft. These are just samples of the different desserts that Sharon creates. And
How do I
Sharon,
get the order?
Sharon, you created Smirnoff?
Oh my God.
You done tapped into a whole nother market that way. Yeah.
Those are beautiful.
That is
Beautiful. Sharon,
Thank you.
how did you get started? Where did this all start? Was this just something you kind of just started doing as a hobby? Did you have any type of formal classes or education or anything?
I've not had any formal baking or education or anything like that. I've always loved to cook. To be quite honest, my niece, she's like 30 something, got me into Food Network 20 years ago. And I just would watch it religiously, constantly making new recipes. So I love to cook. But I said, well, let me try some sweets. And I started baking, and it just really went over well. So I started saying, well, maybe I could make a little extra money selling cupcakes, just to have some extra income. And that's how it took off. I got myself a Cuisinart mixer, and it just went from there. I said, I'm gonna go ahead and register a business and try to do it the right way. And it just took off. And I'm pretty thankful about how it went.
Sharon catered the desserts for my Black History event. She created shooters. We had the banana pudding,
Mhm.
red velvet, and what was the third one? Strawberry
Uh,
shortcake.
Strawberry shortcake.
Strawberry shortcake, banana pudding, and red velvet. And them things went. You understand what I'm saying? But she had them prepared, so she was ready for the pandemic. So they were individually, like in little containers, like little plastic things, so everyone could still enjoy them. They didn't have to be out in the open and like a normal buffet type thing. So she had it all dressed up. The photographer was able to capture her display before the crowd got there and just devoured. When I looked around, they were gone. They were gone. So, but everyone said they enjoyed them. My daughter, my niece, and my cousin, and some of the other attendees really enjoyed the desserts. And of course, the cuisine that we had with Island Boys Creations. So, but it was great. She stayed a little while and chit-chatted a little bit and enjoyed the meal. She and her husband, so it was pretty cool.
Thank you for having me that day. It was a wonderful experience.
And I'm glad. It really was nice. And your desserts made it even better.
Thank you.
Appreciate that as well. So anybody have any other questions for Sharon, or just out of the ordinary things? It's so different. It's like, I just got desserts floating in my head right now, and I showed the picture, but there's so much. One thing that I like is, Jeff pointed out that passion into profit. And that's like the biggest thing. I think the message we want to send to people is, you look at other people and you say, oh, I don't know if I can start a business like that.
That's
Well,
very true.
maybe that's not the type of business for you.
It's
But
very
what
true.
do you love to do?
Mhm.
It's like we put ourselves, and sometimes you love what you do in corporate America, but you still have these other desires. You still have these other visions of something that you want to do on your own, that different passion. And Sharon is a prime example of that. It's like you can have a passion and that can be your business. Sometimes people think, like, if you look at it when she was doing it, when she was working, like, it seemed like she had a side hustle. Well, that side hustle actually made her an entrepreneur. She just started doing it, full time. And so we need to just kind of remind people that is just it's kind of like the preview of what you can do as an entrepreneur, things that you have a passion for. And they can be the simplest little different things. I've seen people do it with hair bows and, even doing hair. A lot of women forget that, you're doing hair, you're still an entrepreneur, and so we just need to be mindful and just kind of like, remind people that still makes you an entrepreneur. You're just in the process. You can be working and still be an entrepreneur. Chanel can testify to that as well. So and Dion, and Dion, and Jeff has multiple things that he does as well. So these are different ways and avenues that people can pursue what they're good at, and this become your own company, something that you're doing, that you're inspired to do, and it makes you better at it, and it's making you stand out. I mean, her cakes are amazing. You have all these
Thank you.
big, what was this bakery here in Charlotte? You ever see it was Nona Sweets? It was
I don't
a
know if
Nona Sweets, and she used to do the wedding cakes.
To get my wedding cake, I was gonna say no.
I,
She
okay.
used to do the wedding cakes, and she opened a couple of locations. And then all of a sudden, it was like, I think maybe she grew too fast or something, but she got Tati hooked on some champagne something that she used to make little cake things with champagne. But, she started out with making wedding cakes, and then she grew out of nowhere. It's like she just had this big old spot over here in the university area. And then it turned into like she turned into a cafe. So everything starts a certain way, and then you build and you can grow. And that's a prime example of someone in your same industry, how she grew, from that. So we wish you all the best. And, once you get that storefront, we'll be right there.
Absolutely.
Jeff
Absolutely.
The fitness plan so we can work it off.
Right.
And we'll come buy your cake.
CupCakes, fitness, and travel.
The red velvet cake and the banana pudding this week. What I need to do so I can work it off.
Right. Listen, Alethea, I want to say this. The hard left that Sharon took from insurance to making cupcakes. We have a running theme on the show too. Jeff quite often points it out, but we all chime in on it. But we're good at different things, and explore all of them. You never know which one is going to hit. The one that doesn't hit is the one that you never shoot. And so yeah, I just wanted to point that out. And that's a whole nother world, insurance to baking, and I love that kind of stuff because it just, because whenever it lands and hits and stuff, you just take all that, whatever you've learned there and all that other kind of stuff. I don't know how it all applies all the time, but it has a way of serving the passion that you're getting ready to go into the entrepreneurship with. And I just wanted to note that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. You know what's interesting about that is my father, when he was alive, mentioned to me, He said to me one time, "Why do you never finish what you start?" And I said, "Dad, it's not like that." I said, "What it is I have so many talents that I need to give them all a chance."
Good.
That's
This-
well
Like,
said. That's well
okay.
said.
I love trying out different things. And I've been sticking with this since 2014. So it's been 6 years, and it's getting better and it's growing. And so I'm pretty happy with where it's going.
That's good. So, we'll always extend the olive branch if there's something that you need help with as you continue to move forward as far as being an entrepreneur. This panel here, it's a wealth of knowledge. So if there's something that you run up into and you want to know, just reach out to us. And I'm sure if I don't know it, Jeff probably knows it. Chanel probably know it. Dion probably know it. And I know Julie gonna know it.
Janelle and Julie know.
Jeff know it.
So,
Jeff knows it all.
yeah. So once
Jeff-
So y'all might start seeing my emails pop up quite often.
we'll never say it's her again. No. But, yeah, but to me, I think that's how we collaborate, right? So that helps us all be successful. Everybody has different strengths and different talents. And if we use them to help build each other up, it's going to be amazing to see how quickly we can get back to our Black Wall Streets, right? Because if we did it before, we can do it again. And this is just the tip of the iceberg on how to get started.
I agree, Alethea, and I think we've all shared that. I mean, each week when we come together, we all learn and grow from each other just from our conversation. So I think that's a great point that you mentioned. Sharon, I'm curious, any advice? You've been at it for 6 years and you've made this major transition, and you've grown, not only started a business, but grown a business. Any advice that you would give to someone in similar situation or choose that maybe in corporate America may have this passion project that they're trying to grow and launch? What advice would you give them? What resources or information would you encourage them to seek?
Good question.
Well, I've had some questions from people who are where I was 6 years ago. And one thing I have to say is I align myself with people in the industry who are where I'd like to be. Or I watch the pros. My husband tells me, you're on social media too much. I'm like, I'm working. So I watch the pros. I see what they're doing. I see how they built their businesses or where they came from and how they arrived where they are now. And I just pass that advice on to other people. Just align yourself with people who are where you like to be, or people who are in the same craft, have the same craft, that are doing well. And learn all you can. I taught myself how to bake from Google, YouTube.
That Google University is the bomb.
Yes, be resourceful. Just always be thirsty for the knowledge that will take you further. That's the advice I would give.
Absolutely. Jeff, that sounds like one of your closing lines.
Yeah, you brought up something that I really want to point out too. Your husband said you're on social media too much. Well, if you were watching the every move of Kim and Kanye, you be on social media too much, but you are working, and that's another thing people got to remember. If you can't make it to school or go to school, don't lose sleep. There's so much information online that you can use to help yourself grow, but people don't realize that. It's almost like they psych themselves out, or they tell themselves that they can't do something because they don't have access to blah blah blah, or they can't go to such school, or they don't have any money. It's so much out here that you can use to your advantage, but people just don't think of it that way. Like I tell people here, I get on YouTube every night and I listen to audiobooks. Or I'm listening to some type of audiobook or some type of interview, and I'm always learning something new. So use it to your advantage, and that's the key. I think that's very important. So yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. And look at the pros. You don't know everything. Admit it to yourself. Admit you're still learning and growing, humble yourself and listen to people who know more than you. And that's the huge key to being successful as well.
So we already know. So Chanel is the official travel agency for everybody. So we already got that going. And then Sharon is the official dessert lady for everything that we need to do, and then on the go, and then the traveling. So when you do mine, Chanel, make sure I got my extra snacks and stuff for long trips from Sharon to do it. It's like Jeff said, it's the different ways that we go about to learn what we do and advance our skill set, and the opportunities are there. And, talking to people and, having someone that understands what you're going through because they've been there. And sometimes you may be on that same journey at the same phase of a journey, and you can help and walk and talk each other through it. It's that conscious support base that we can be for each other. You definitely have that family here. So we'll always love to have you back. And you can tell us, and next time I'll have a collage of more of the desserts so everybody can just kind of live vicariously through their way.
But how can they reach her though? How can they reach her?
You can reach me at my website. It's www.cupcakenaround.com. CupCaken around.com.
And when we do the promo for the show, I'll make sure to share your website too. So people will be able to see it. So people see the show on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, and we'll make sure that we share your link so they'll be able to find you, not only before the show, but during the promos. So
thank you so much.
You are so welcome. So Chanel, I know you got to drop soon, so I'm gonna let you give your last words.
Sharon, thank you again. It was great to hear about your journey. It's really inspiring on many levels.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to leave that there because this is recorded. But I keep saying courage, but really what it is faith. I mean, at the end of the day, it's having that faith and support to really excel as entrepreneurs. So kudos to you again. I love to see us start and grow and thrive. So it's just really, like I said, just inspiring to me, but congratulations. And hopefully it was helpful for you to share your story and have this conversation, because it was definitely helpful for me. So thank you.
Thank you. It was, yes.
Thanks, Chanel. Let me go to Jeff.
I keep thinking of Tupac when I see CupCaken around. Am I the only one? I get around, CupCaken around. I'm sorry. I get around. I'm just saying. I can't help it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now you can't unsee it either. But I'm really happy about this, and I like to look at backstories. I love to hear the backstory. And so for me, I'm fascinated with the fact that you didn't have any baking experience. You just liked it because, your family member introduced you to it and you were watching videos. That is amazing. That is huge. And you just did it on your own. You had fun with it. And then it grew into this empire. And yes, I'm calling it an empire because I'm speaking it into existence.
Amen.
Thank you so much. I received it.
Absolutely. Yeah, your dessert's going to be on airplanes one day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm speaking into existence. But yeah, and it all starts from humble beginnings. And that's what people have to remember. I can start small. It's not going to happen overnight. You've been doing it for 6 years, and you are still growing, learning, and evolving. And that is something that everyone can take note of. And if they start today, there's no telling where they could be in a year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. But the key is to get started and just find something you enjoy, because you never know what it could lead to. So I want to thank you. Yeah. Bye, Chanel.
Bye, Chanel.
Bye, Chanel. Nice to meet you.
Jeff, you started something then. So you said you started talking about Tupac, right? And so then I'm thinking, if you got cake, you're going to have ice cream, right? And so now then the Geico commercial come up with the scoop. There it is. And I'm like, tag.
Oh, Lord.
See what you started, Jeff? See what you started? See what you started?
Sharon, I told you these people were crazy. I told you.
I love it. Thank you. I'm having a lot of fun.
Dion, last word.
Well, I wanna use that quote you said with your father, Sharon. You said, "Why do you not finish everything?" It's because I got a lot of talents. I did that right there. That just does it for me right there. I'm not distracted. I don't have ADHD. I've just got a lot in me, and I'm trying to see which one of them is gonna stick against the wall. So that was a great quote. Thank you so much again for sharing everything. No pun intended, Sharon. Sharing your story, and it was like Chanel said. There's so many parts of your story that they're very inspiring, and I think some of the beauty of it is the simplicity of it, and just finding what you love to do, doing that, watching it, and Chanel made this point, not just starting something, but then it grows into something beautiful. And now, like Jeff said, it's an empire. It's an empire now. Now we're just waiting for that to happen. So with that said, the last thing I'll say is this has definitely been a sweet show.
Oh, the sweetness is all mine.
Right.
She fits right in. She on with them. Sharon, it's been great having you on the show tonight. Again, welcome to the family.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing more about your journey, and we'll talk about you being an author on the next time you get to come back to the show.
All right.
We'll bring that one out, let you tell your story on that side. And so it's been great. And you've had a wonderful journey becoming an entrepreneur. Your post was very inspiring, and I know people can grow from that. And then
Thank you so much.
if there's one person that'll jump out there and follow that leap of faith because of your writing, that's what we're hoping you sharing your story tonight will do.
Well, I surely hope that is the case. One of my biggest goals, or the thing that makes me feel the best, or the more that I'm walking in my purpose, is to know that I'm inspiring others. So I hope that that's the case.
I'm sure it will be. Thank you so much. And with that, we will say good night. We will see
Thank you.
next week.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Take care.
All righty.